So good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Leading Educator Innovation Pitch Showcase. I have the privilege of starting us off, so I think we're ready to go. So I will be today speaking about strong community schools, focusing on the whole child, an effort to turn our district around, an urban school district. My name is Aníbal Soler. I'm the Associate Superintendent of Strategic Alignment, and I'm here representing Superintendent Dr. Cash and the great work of Buffalo Public Schools. So first, a little bit about our city. We are the second largest district in the state of New York. We're known for a couple things. We're the home to the Bills, home to the Sabres. We've produced two presidents, Fillmore and Grover Cleveland, and we're known as the city of good neighbors, the Queen City, and even the Nickel City. But we're probably most known for our chicken wings. So a little bit about our schools in our district. We have about 33,000 students. 80% of them are students of color. Broke that down there so you can see 45% African American, 21% Latino, and 15% of other ethnic groups, along with 20% of our students being white. Our schools we have 60 of them. 30 of them are elementary, 19 secondaries, and 3 alternative specialized settings for our students. 21% of our students have an IEP, or an individualized education plan. 21% of our students are English language learners. And about 7% of those students are both ELL and have an IEP. And I always think that's important to point out, even though I don't have that up there. And 77% of our students qualify for free and reduced lunch. And that's important because in Buffalo, we feed all our kids regardless of their economic status. Because we have such a high poverty rate, we provide meals for everyone. In 2015, our superintendent arrived to our district, and with him, he brought what's called the education bargain. A promise, a commitment to the community that we would do a certain amount of things, and then on the other side, we would ask that parents have an obligation to put a premium on education. And this graphic here shows that we focused on 6 major tenets. Today, I'll be talking about the work of strong community schools and how that innovation has helped us move our district forward. Again, it's a bargain, it's a handshake. As a district, we'll do these things, we'll put a premium on education, we'll put the resources in place. We believe it's a civil right that all kids have access to a high quality education. And on the other side, we want parents to just put an obligation, a premium, and make it an obligation that your child comes to school ready to learn, commits to doing some work after school, shows some simple respect to the adults in the organization, and then it should all work out. So we believe community schools is an effective school improvement strategy. I like to call it a movement, and it's focusing on 5 major pillars. Again, high quality instruction, expanded and enriched learning time, parent centers and adult education, integrated student and family supports, and what's most important is authentic community partnerships. Not just something on paper, not just an RFP that got responded to, but authentic collaboration and dialogue between partners. This graphic here shows our model for community schools. Our belief is that we have to make the school the epicenter to the school improvement and school reform and servicing the whole child. And so here, this graphic, you see the families coming into the schoolhouse, and our school is the hub. It's the epicenter. We provide resources. We've expanded our day 2 hours longer in all of our community schools. We're open twice a month on Saturdays from 9 to noon. We provide a hot lunch, a breakfast. Family comes to school, doesn't have clothes. We want the community school to solve that issue, solve that problem. If we take care of some of those Maslow type things, we believe the blooms is going to take off, and we've seen some of that work. So when we started this work, we were very intentional. We needed to think about where are we going to put these schools. We looked at our poverty rates. We looked at gang violence. We went into the toughest and most dangerous neighborhoods in the city of Buffalo, intentionally. We can't stay away from this work. We can't shy away from it, and we can't just keep blaming it on society. And so we went right in, and this is just a graphic of that. We then mobilized over 60 partners, community-based organizations, faith-based organizations. We strategically put them around 4 zones, north, east, south, west. We found the schools in those neighborhoods. We partnered them. We collaborate them. We build community engagement teams, and these are the schools. Our major partners, Say Yes to Buffalo, they kind of help navigate our partnerships across the 4 zones. They're our strategic partner in this work. This is just a quick list of our schools broken down by zones. And we've built a lot of branding in terms of our community. And we always know technology is great, but we went basic: billboards, flyers, brochures, mailings, door-to-door knockings. And our motto is simple: open to everyone, here for you. We don't care if you live in the suburbs or in the city. Our schools are open for everyone and here for you on Saturdays. And what we've seen is engagement from those various areas. So what we've accomplished: we've created programming that focuses on social emotional, academics, health and wellness, parent centers that offer resources to support their child. We've told our story on multiple platforms, and we've gotten the word out via social media, videos. These are some examples of those right here. We have developed metrics to monitor and measure this. No effort, no innovation matters unless you're monitoring it. And so if you don't have data to support your work, it's just, I think, a poor strategy. And so what have we seen? Engagement. Over the 2.5 years that we've been doing this work, we're in our third year right now, we've had over 100,000 participants come into our schools. The green is our current number, and because we're in Buffalo, we had some snow days, hence the snowflakes, and our enrollment go down. But we've had over 100,000 visitors, over 90,000 meals provided to our community. We've created scorecards to measure and inform the work. Every data point tells a story. So we give these to principals every month and say, meet with your community, meet with your stakeholders, figure out what you need to do next. We've went across 4 zones, and we're monitoring the zones. This is homegrown stuff. This isn't like a software product. We just kind of graphically put it together to share and help our principals because they don't have time to do this, so we need to inform their work. We've been doing this now for 2.5 years, and we started in 2015-16, and in a short amount of time in New York State accountability, the 12 schools that were the lowest performing have now flipped to 11, to green. And we're down to 3 schools priority. 5 have unranked just because they're so new. We're brand new schools. They don't have accountability measures yet, but we're confident. So I'm here to say Buffalo Public Schools are on the rise. Our superintendent in January announced for the first time ever our district had a 65% graduation rate. For the first time since 2006, we have crossed 65%. We believe we're on track to get 70%. Over 37 of our schools are in good standing, which is 74% of our district. When we arrived, we were at 14%. So he's nearly almost tripled that number. And here's a little quick announcement. So if you'd like to hear more information about the work we're doing in Buffalo, the education bargain, here's my contact information. And as we say in Buffalo, let's go Buffalo.
Check, check, check. Good morning. My name is Akwe Bagani, and I am the proud principal at Lewis School of Excellence in Chicago, Illinois. I want you to take a moment and remember being a middle school student. By a show of hands, how many of you enjoy coming to school most of the time? Come on, people. All right. Maybe you tried to do your best in school. Yeah. Maybe you loved one of your classes, one of your teachers. Maybe you felt safe or cared for in school. So did I. But for many of our students, that's not their reality. Imagine being in a school as a middle schooler and you're homeless, or you have a parent that's incarcerated. Let's say that you're being raised by a grandparent or a family member. Let's say that you don't feel that anyone in the world loves or cares about you. For our students in the Austin neighborhood on the northwest side of Chicago, this is their reality. We are one of 31 schools in the AUSL network, and our mission is to turn schools around and take them from poor to great. In our neighborhood, 41% of our families make $25,000 a year. Our graduation rate, 37% from high school, and 8% of our families receive a bachelor's degree. As you can well imagine, violent crimes are on the rise. We have thousands that take place, and naturally this impacts our students. In the picture you can see my students with their hands up. I asked them, how many of you have a family member or friend or loved one that has been killed due to gun violence? And that's what I saw. It's alarming, and we know that extreme violence plus poverty and lack of support equals trauma. When we gave our students the ACEs survey, the Adverse Childhood Experience Survey, which tests the different types of trauma that students experience, from physical neglect to sexual abuse, we saw that an alarming amount of our students are experiencing some form of trauma. And we decided that we had to do something about it. Mel Robbins wrote, "You have basic needs, and when they aren't met, your body sends signals. Hunger, loneliness, exhaustion, thirst, and fear are all signals that something is missing and you need to act on it now." As educators, we know that when kids don't have what they need, they cannot perform in school. And the higher your ACEs score is, the more likely you are to not be able to learn, to have really difficult times having relationships with other people, and it could even lead to suicide. So we decided to act on it right now, because now is the time for our kids, and our kids need us the most in this moment. As a school community, we decided that we were going to move forward with social emotional supports. We wanted to teach our students how to manage their behaviors, how to control themselves, but most importantly, how to accomplish what they need to be successful. We have our MTSS behavior team with counselors and supports from all across the building, and our teachers have received training on trauma, on how to have restorative conversations, but most importantly, Tier 1 and Tier 2 interventions. Our first intervention are Zen zones. This is just a cool down corner for kids. It's a place for them to go where no one bothers you. In that space, you might have a timer or a stress ball, something to get you back to zero. That's huge for a kid that might have a hard time in school. We also have talking circles. It is a space built into our system, into our schedule, where every day kids sit and they can talk about their issues, things at home or things in school, things that matter to them. Imagine, you're a kid in foster care and you might not have anybody to talk to. This is your space to do it right here in school. One of the things I'm most proud of, and this was started by our 6th grade students, is the Kindness Committee. These are a few of our care counselors. They are students that said, "Ms. Ghani, we need to promote kindness throughout middle school." And they started this club along with their 6th grade teachers. In it, we have students from 6th through 8th grade, and they do various activities. They leave kind Post-it notes in the bathroom telling students that they're beautiful and encouraging them. They do things such as making sure that our little ones have lessons about kindness so that they can continuously be pushed to be their very best selves. Most importantly, though, they give kindness cards to students who earned a detention as a way to encourage them and let them know, don't give up. Just because you messed up today, it doesn't mean that you can't be better tomorrow. And this is just one of the things that they're working on right now, conversation starters, so they know how to approach a student that might come to school having a really rough day. Last but not least are our peer ambassadors. These are students that have been counseled by our school counselor, Ms. Aisha Moore, and Alternatives, Inc. They have been trained in how to mediate and de-escalate conflict. So now, when a kid has an issue, they're not coming to the grown-ups. They're going and they're sitting with other kids. So when these babies in the 1st grade have a problem, it doesn't have to be an adult voice all the time that helps them to de-escalate those issues. Now I want you to step back and imagine being a middle schooler that can go to a Zen zone when you need it to calm down, or being able to express your frustrations about home or school in a talking circle. Imagine having a classmate that checks in on you and makes sure that you know that every day when you come to school, you are encouraged and loved and cared for. How about having someone that you can go to if there's an issue so that you can talk it out instead of fight? That's what our peace ambassadors are there for. Imagine being a middle schooler that feels loved every single day. This is what we've created, and our work is not done, but the results show that our impact is huge. Attendance is up 94 to 96%. That's big for us. We have our students' behaviors decrease 82%. That's huge. Academic gains up to a level 1. People, I'm telling you, this work is important and it matters and our kids need it. So what I'm asking of all of you, help our babies get to graduation. Help them get there. They're smart, they're capable, they know what they want, but they need support. Imagine a middle school with SEL supports. The time is now. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Check. We're on. All right. Hello. Thank you for coming today. My name is Megan Collette. I am the Executive Director of Instructional and Innovative Leadership in the Fox Chapel Area School District, which is in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I'm joined here today by our Superintendent, Dr. Freeman, and Justin Paparello, our Mobile Fab Lab Coordinator. And we are here to discuss promoting equity in STEM with mobile fab labs and digital fabrication. And very specifically, when we talk about equity in STEM, we're really focusing on the E, the engineering piece of STEM. Thank you. So we have to identify the problem, and it's a little cliche, I suppose, to have to identify that target problem, but the problem is simply the underrepresentation of females in engineering fields. Very specifically, we also know that there is an abysmal representation of female minorities in engineering. So we hover around 11% for females in general in engineering fields, and those numbers are very easily in the single digits of 2 to 4% when we're looking at minority students. And so we identified this target, as cliche as it is, because it was the problem that was facing us. We saw it in our high schools, we saw it in our middle schools, and certainly we see it in the field of engineering. This heuristic that you see behind us is really the leaking STEM pipeline. And so those gold or yellow droplets are, in some cases, tens, hundreds, or thousands of females that we lose somewhere along the way between 10th grade and PhD faculty. It's an issue, it's a concern. It's a concern for our public, and it's a concern for the young ladies that are impacted. And when we looked at that pipeline, one of the things we noticed was, sure, we see that 10th grade and on, there's a lot of research, but the research really starts to become minimal when we look at in the K12 format. Where does the problem start, and what can we do to help mitigate that? And we were left without a roadmap, quite frankly. And so what we did is, instead of focusing on the problem, we wanted to be proactive and preventative, and we focused on what we call our sweet spot. And so we'll use a sports metaphor, though I'm not a sports person. And I want you to just think about, being on a pristine green on a golf course, and you have that ball, you address that ball, you have the perfect stroke, and it hits and it soars, and you just see it soar in that pristine elation as you get the hole in one. It's that feeling, it's that endorphin rush that we want to make sure we put into the muscle memory of our young women as they try to build a boat and race it down a gutter runway. It's that 3 seconds you have between when the pitcher pitches the baseball and that perfect crack you hear, and the echo of successful endeavor that goes throughout the stadium. We want our girls to feel that whenever they're building and designing their own toolbox using a CNC machine and laser engravers. What we really want is for all of the elements, for all of the world to align perfectly so that it can act as if it's this beautiful solar eclipse, so that not that we can pick a path for our young ladies and select an occupation for them, but we can provide them with an opportunity to have the resources and the ability and the prereqs they need to choose that if they want, that we can instill a sense of confidence inside of them and tenacity, and that we can break down any door and any barrier that might stand in their way. And so that brings us to our own heuristic, our own STEM pipeline. And when we look at this attrition in females, we identified that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And in looking at that, we identified 2nd grade as our sweet spot. Right now in 2nd grade, little girls still see themselves as mathematicians. They enjoy building, and they like to participate in science experiments. So let's bolster that, and let's make sure we build that confidence and we expose them to more engineering opportunities at that age level. And that brings in our rainmaker, Dr. Gene Freeman, our superintendent of schools. And so what he was able to do is take our idea and say, look, we need a lot to make this happen. We need financial stability, and we need to really make sure we have financial resources. So let's write a lot of grants and get a lot of support that way. We also need the right people in place to make it happen from our own association and our own board. And we need the support of the school board and teachers associations and principals and all those people on the ground that make it happen. But what else he did that is potentially even more important is he said, it's not just about our one school district. We have school districts all around us, varying in free and reduced lunch from 50% to 100%, varying in minority rates. Why are we not also making sure that we serve them? And so we were able to write within the grants to make sure that we had funds to not just help push this out to the second graders of our own school district, but for the 4 school districts around us. And so he made it rain. It worked. Thank you for that, Dr. Freeman. And we needed to make sure that that rain, all of that magic, landed in the right person's hands. And that person is standing next to me, Justin Paparello.
And Dr. Collette and Dr. Freeman, they did all the hard work. I really got to do kind of the fun stuff. So we brought together a bunch of teachers from these local districts, and we needed them to have a certain amount of information before we came to their districts. So we taught them all about the engineering design process and some of the activities we were going to be doing with them, brought them in and gave them that experience. Also, as a high school engineering teacher, we needed to take some of this stuff on the road. So whether it be just hammers and screwdrivers, but also a whole bunch of digital fabrication tools, CNC machines, 3D printers, laser engravers, vinyl cutters, all this stuff had to go on the road. And also, we could have just put it in the back of a school bus, but why not make it an innovative, cool space? So being that I had this group of students in front of me who also needed to have an authentic experience, we used them to design a tiny house, build it top to bottom, the roof, the electric. We designed all those innovative spaces and some of those different things you need to put inside of a tiny house to make everything fit. And when we show up, we create an outdoor classroom, which would work a lot better in San Diego than in Pittsburgh. But with those days that we have, setting that stuff outside and working on all kinds of activities from 3D printing objects, laser engraving name tags, building toolboxes, making boats, marshmallow towers, anything to get especially the females in that second grade demographic interested in touching equipment was just super important. And some of the 3 takeaways that we really got from it was, 1, perseverance. The kids were just super excited to be involved in that, but get through some of the roadblocks that we intentionally set up. Also, the confidence to go through those things. And then finally, just the pure excitement. You'll see in a couple of these pictures, just kids really excited to touch those things that they really didn't have access to before.
And this is the changing face of engineering. With the research that we have from the post and pre-surveys, we can change the face. This is what our future engineers look like.
And this is what perseverance looks like.
This is what elation looks like.
And this one's excitement for sure.
And this is what sheer tenacity looks like. And so we want to thank all of you for having us today. Of course, everyone back in the district, the Grable Foundation who made it happen with their fund, Luma Institute for training us on design thinking, and the University of Pittsburgh's LRDC with Christian Shun. We are all here to remake learning together, and we hope you join us. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Joseph Manko, and I'm the proud principal of Liberty Elementary School in Baltimore City. Liberty is a traditional district-run public school that serves 483 elementary-age students. 93.5% of our students qualify for free and reduced meals, and close to 100% of our students are African American. We're also the 15th highest performing school in Baltimore based on the 2018 PARCC results, and the other 14 schools on the list look very different than us demographically. In the spring of 2016, a small group of Liberty teachers and administrators began to meet to talk about what additional emotional and behavioral supports could be provided to our elementary-age students. Liberty was by no means a school where student misbehavior was running rampant. We actually had a pretty positive climate and culture, thanks in part to a school-wide focus on positive behavioral intervention supports, or PBIS. In this system, students would earn incentives and rewards for making good choices. It was more or less a token economy. Kids would earn behavior bucks that they would take to a glorified Chuck E. Cheese in order to purchase a kite or a yo-yo. This system served us well for many years by providing kids incentives for sitting up straight, coming in uniform, not talking out of turn, and raising their hands. When the behavior team met, our major conversation was around how we could take the extrinsic benefits of PBIS and make them intrinsic. We also talked about equipping our students with behavior management tools that they could effectively use outside of the classroom. Over the course of the next 6 months, we researched a variety of programs from capturing kids' hearts to restorative justice to Path to PACS. After months of deliberation and discussion, what the team ultimately decided on was a system of student mindfulness and meditation as a key component to our new climate philosophy. In the fall of 2017, the Liberty team launched a new partnership with the Baltimore-based Holistic Life Foundation to provide daily mindfulness and meditation practices to our students. What has evolved is a fairly remarkable practice, particularly for an inner-city elementary school. All students at Liberty engage in 2 school-wide meditation periods daily. During the 5-minute guided meditation that occurs every day over the loudspeaker, students partake in a series of deep breaths, head rolls, and stress breaths. A training at the beginning of each year for the teachers, followed up by classroom presentations to each homeroom, walks students and staff through the science behind mindfulness. The Holistic Life presenters talk about both the importance of breathing techniques for dealing with things like stress, illness, anger, and trauma, alongside the research that mindfulness has on improving executive functioning and other important operations of the brain. The message is being delivered by individuals for whom the mindfulness practices have been life-changing. The founders of the Holistic Life Foundation, Andy, Ali, and Atman, are 3 friends who grew up in West Baltimore in the 1980s during the height of the crack epidemic. Rather than falling victim to the crime and drugs that plagued their neighborhood, these friends turned to yoga and meditation to help provide calm, solace, and balance to their lives. Fast forward 25 years, and their nonprofit organization, the Holistic Life Foundation, now provides mindfulness programming to over a dozen Baltimore City schools, one of which is Liberty Elementary School. Beyond the 2 daily meditation periods, Liberty has been assigned 2 full-time mindfulness coaches who are present at the school all day, every day. Our coaches help coach the students who present the meditation each morning on the loudspeaker, and they also run daily lunch bunch sessions with our students who have been identified as our frequent flyers. During this time, they can work on mindfulness techniques, form relationships, talk about choices, consequences, and what can be done better next time. It's also just a great time for some of our most challenging kids to leave the loudness of the cafeteria for the calmness of the Mindful Moments room. Our mindfulness coaches are on call throughout the day and can be contacted by teachers who have students who need some time breathing or a moment of quiet reflection. We have talked to the teachers about identifying triggered behaviors and trying to deal with issues early prior to the students going into crisis. It is at this point that a text message goes out to the mindfulness coaches who appear, take the students for a walk, engage in some of the breathing or relaxation techniques, and return the child to the class so they continue to learn alongside their peers. Our mindfulness coaches also facilitate a mindfulness ambassador program where 2 or 3 kids in each class who are interested in learning more deeply about the practice get to train with them twice a week. Amani, who's one of our mindfulness ambassadors, says she likes the program because it helps me share the practice of mindfulness with my classmates and helps me to be calm and focused. Through this program, we help to build leadership throughout the school and empower our students to support their peers in being reflective, peaceful, and meditative. What has been the impact on the school? Well, most notably, behavioral referrals have been cut in half. Student suspensions have been decreased by 2/3, and kids throughout the school are kinder and more joyful. In terms of student data, the chart posted above shows the scatter plot of student performance in math and literacy for all the schools in Baltimore with a free and reduced meal rate above 80%. We're that solo dot in the upper right-hand corner, boasting the highest percentage of PARCC scores in reading and math among similarly situated schools. Would we link these outstanding results directly to the mindfulness practice at Liberty? Not completely. It's a confluence of factors that impact performance at any school. However, if you ask me if mindfulness in our Holistic Life partnership is a component of our success, I would say absolutely. Ultimately, when you have a 9-year-old child articulate to you, "I use the breathing at home when I get scared or sad or angry," you've equipped students with a powerful tool that they can use wherever they are, whenever they need it, for the rest of their lives. Thank you for your time this morning. You can follow the happenings of Liberty each and every day on our Twitter or Instagram. We post to #Liberty64. Please reach out to me if you have any other questions, and thank you so much.